Hello and welcome to another version of our video version of Tuesday Tapestry. This is part 2 of our series on vocations in the Catholic Church. And I'm very, very happy today to welcome my 2 guests for part 2. We have with us today Sister Maria Nguyen, who is a daughter of charity, and also with us Father Carl Schlichty, who is, as you can see, a Dominican priest. Both sister and father work here, they serve here, minister here in the Diocese of Salt Lake City. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you, Bishop, for the invitation.
If you saw part 1, then you heard my, my introduction in which I mentioned that each of us is called by name by a very loving and providential God. What we're talking about, though, in terms of vocations, there's a certain specificity to that call, that we're called by name to be holy, and also we're called by God to fulfill a particular calling that God has in mind for each of us, for each beautiful, unrepeatable human being. And today we're centering on this call to ordained ministry and to the religious life. I might just make a note here that in the Catholic Church we speak about the lay faithful, the laity, and we speak about religious, men and women religious, and we could go into that even further. There are different types of religious, and then of course we have those who are ordained, deacons, priests, and bishops. And so these are specific calls or vocational calls that we're centering on today. So I think we'll get right to it, if I may, and just ask you, Sister and Father, let me just ask you first, if I may, how did you hear your own personal call? Could you just give us a little a bit of how you discerned your call to be a sister, in your case a priest?
I feel the call when I was in 10th grade.
Ah.
Yes. I'm very active in the church as a youth Eucharistic, the youth ministry, and I very active. And I felt that God wanted me to do something, and I don't know what something is about. But it keep bugging me, just do something. And that call long since the 10th grade, and then until I came to the United States, another 10 years.
Oh, right.
Probably from the first time I heard a call to the time I respond is 14 years.
So Sister, if I have this straight, then you were in Vietnam, and you were in the 10th grade when you first heard this call. And then how old were you when you came to the United States?
27 years old.
27?
Yes.
Okay, so, and then when did you become a sister then? How long after you came to the States?
I came to the United States about 3 years, and the call keep bugging me. And I just said, oh, I have to try it. And I told God that one more time. If this time doesn't work, I quit. But then after 3 years college, I quit the school and joined the Daughter of Charity.
Wonderful. You know, and I want to just, I want to say first of all how I admire you coming from a different country and a different culture. Your English is just wonderful. It's very, very good. And but I want to pick up on, I like the fact that you use a word, you say God kept bugging me. And it kind of implies, you know, that, hey God, I've got my life here, so stop bugging me. Would you leave me alone? But it's kind of like God kept knocking and knocking and knocking until finally he said, all right, I'm all yours. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's beautiful. Father Schlichty, how about you? What was your call like?
Well, I had a similar story to Sister Maria's, but I think it's important to preface that, as you know, Bishop Wester, my uncle was a diocesan priest.
And a very beautiful, very good man.
Served well, and so I saw him very regularly, and so, you know, he's very much a part of my life growing up in childhood and whatnot. So unlike many Catholics, I didn't have this almost unhuman image of a priest. It was always something that I had considered. I didn't automatically dismiss. And so my first contact was with the Christian Brothers, the De La Salle Christian Brothers, in high school. And while I had always respected my uncle and the work that he did, I felt that there was something missing for me in the way he lived his life. And so the Christian Brothers, the introduction of community life, to me was kind of the key that was missing of why I didn't find it particularly attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I didn't want to be a classroom teacher. That was very clear.
I see.
And so the brothers, as much as I love, respect, and admire the brothers, it's like I could not be a Christian brother. It's like, okay, that was very clear that there was something in their life that I was attracted to, the community aspect, the praying together, the living together, the eating together, recreating sometimes together, that was very attractive, but the ministry was not. So my first contact with the Dominicans was also at the De La Salle High School in Concord, who was a Dominican priest who was pastor of a local parish, but had done high school work in his earlier ministry. And so that was my first contact with the Dominicans, and it was, in one sense, it was love at first sight, because I just like, oh yes, this is really, I like this, I like the community, but Lord, I don't like public speaking, and Dominicans are the order of preachers, and surely you must be kidding, and like Sister said, it's like God was like, yeah, exactly, and I'm not kidding, but it was like Sister Marie, it was a feeling that just kind of wouldn't go away. It's like I had to try it.
Is this an attraction that you're both talking about? Is it an attraction to God, or is it to a way of life, or both, or where's the attraction for you in this?
For me, I think attracting to the I think in God first. Actually, I didn't know what the daughter of Charity looked like until I get into it. So I think the call is first about God, and secondly about seeing that God wanted me to do something with my life, the purpose, and so that is the call.
So it's an attraction to God, and then listening to God, saying, "Okay, God, I'm yours. Now, what do you want me to do?"
Yeah, exactly.
Does that ring true for you, Father?
Yes and no. The attraction for me has always been to the Eucharist. I was a server as long as I could be. I remember when I first kind of met the criteria in our parish, they wouldn't take me because I couldn't see the top of the altar. So I was heartbroken that I had to wait another year. But so even as a child, I was always attracted to the Eucharist. But as far as vocation, it was the community life was the strong pull for me, that I wasn't just doing it by myself, is that I had brothers and sisters, because the Dominican order has both friars and sisters, and the sisters are both active sisters like Sister Maria, and contemplative sisters who support the friars and the sisters and the Dominican laity as well.
So I'm hearing you both say that some of the dynamics of a vocation, of discerning a call to the religious life or to the priesthood, involves a relationship with God. And that's certainly one thing to really look at in my life. Do I really feel this God's presence and call? And secondly, that God is calling you to do something, that there's a service that God's calling you to bring God to people in whatever capacity that might be. What, just real quickly, like what is your main service now, Sister, would you say, in the diocese?
As a daughter of Charity, our charism to serve the poor. And,
serve the poor.
Yes. And currently I serve the people, mostly immigrant in Ogden, to give the skill training to low-income women, so they will become self-sufficient. That's what we hope for.
I've seen some of the work that you have, that you and the ladies whom you train, what they've done. It's quite impressive, and I'm going to bring, I know, some clothing up there to get worked on by your wonderful staff there. And it's what a wonderful way to help people help themselves, and what a great service. And Father, what would be I know you're very busy as a pastor here, I know but what would be like the key services that you provide God's people?
Well, as a pastor, serve at the University of Utah and the Newman Center, so we serve as both a parish in the traditional sense, but also a ministry very much focused on the young people of the University of Utah, Westminster College, and Salt Lake Community College. So that's always kind of the primary focus and thrust of our ministry. So for me, I think the main thing is availability. Being with the students, they can just kind of knock on my door, or I've started doing a lot of spiritual direction with the students, which I very much enjoy. And again, it's very much a ministry of presence, just being with them, and as they're going through whatever struggles, whatever joys, as they're kind of thinking, asking the question, what do I want to be when I grow up?
One of the things I'm discerning as you both speak, when you talk about your relationship with God, when you talk about what you do, is that you're both happy. Is that true? Am I picking that up correctly?
Yes, I think it's kind of rewarding. Yes, and the happy probably is not exactly the way the many people understand happy, but I feel the joy and peace.
Yeah.
That's my description.
So it's not a giddiness or a let's go party happiness, but it's more of a just an inner joy, fulfillment, and peacefulness in what you're doing.
Right.
And isn't that really? It's who of us wouldn't love to have that? That's really, when you think about it, money and possessions and power and prestige and you can't get that any other way. How about you?
And it has to be from God, and that it's not that everything is going well, because as I'm sure with Sister's work, and certainly at the Newman Center and community life, things don't always go the way that you planned. That it's like, it's always, for me, it's like, oh, the air conditioner broke. Oh, 2 water heaters just flooded. Okay, fine.
There we go. Yeah. It's and I think I'm also hearing, and you lead me to something else, Father Carl, and that is that that when God calls us, there's a certain sense of surrender. That we don't call our own shots. Yes, obviously it's normal human, and God wants us to fulfill our dreams and all, but God's going to put the dreams in there. But in a more fundamental way, a deeper way, a more profound way, we surrender to God's will, and sometimes it could be a painful road, but it leads to a place that's far better than we could have ever imagined.
That's certainly true.
Because I'm sure you have sacrifices in your lives. It must be, do you ever get lonely?
Yes, of course. But I think that a sense of God present is still there, even in the most loneliness.
So even when you're alone, you sense a sign of God's presence.
Yes, and
I think the word you say, surrender, I think that is very, very important in the religious life. And I think that is very important for us to surrender ourselves. And because in the community, we were sent by community and do whatever community asks us to do. So we have to have a sense of surrender.
Yes.
My experience isn't always the same as Sister Marie's, because there have been times in my life where I did feel that absolute aloneness and in the darkness, and saying, Lord, I don't know where you are. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And it's only in retrospect, looking back on those times, saying, okay, God's hand was there. And so when I hit those rough patches now, what gives me courage is not what's happening right now, but it's like, okay, God's been with me before when I've been in these bad situations, and so somehow, some way, I trust that He'll work this time.
Which leads us back to the surrender, I guess.
Yeah.
You just have to say, sometimes you have to keep on and know that the Lord will guide you even in the dark. Right?
And the other thing that I was struck by, again, being an only child and coming from a small family, is that our house of study, St. Albert's in Oakland, California, it was stunning to me that in a community with 70 friars in it, that I could be absolutely alone. You know, in this huge house and all these people, and just feel utterly, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
utterly alone, which is something that I completely did not
Sure,
expect.
Sure.
Because, I mean, I guess one of the things that I came in with was thinking that my brothers were going to be, you know, my best friends,
Sure.
kind of thing, and it doesn't work out. I mean, it does work out that way, but it doesn't start that way. I mean, so you come in with these ideas, and through your experiences, you make those bonds in the community and also personally. So yes, that there are, you know, two of my classmates in particular that I would call no matter
Sure.
what.
Right, right. So there's really a sense that, you know, really what you're saying, I think, is something that's true of any life, any calling, any vocation. There's going to be highs and lows, there's going to be successes and failures, there's going to be moments when you're, you know, feeling just intimately one with the community, and other moments when you feel very lonely. This is part of a marriage, it's part of a family, it's part of anything. But the sense is that you're following Christ's call, and at the end of the day, you both, I can tell, have deep, deep confidence in Christ, who will not abandon you. And even in your most lonely moments, I suppose it's there that you can realize that He's closer to you than you are to yourself. We have a few moments left, but let me just ask you, they speak now these days of these elevator talks. You know, you have only a few seconds before the elevator door opens and this person gets off. What would you say to somebody who is, say, discerning a call to priesthood or a call to the religious life?
I would say to them, try it. Don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't try it, you never know what it is.
Good point.
The same with, for example, even though you have the clothes, you have to try it to see if it fits you.
That's right.
So the same with vocation, I believe that we don't know. God doesn't call us by phone and tell us you have a vocation.
Right.
But you have to try it and discern and pray about it. And don't be afraid. God more generous that 1,000 times than us. The first I couldn't respond to the vocation because I afraid. But when you let God taking care of your fear, I think you have a courage to respond.
Beautiful. That's wonderful. Father?
And the nice thing about you know, any life, whether it be priesthood or the religious life, that there's always ways that men and women can plug into the life and kind of see if it's for them, like praying with the sisters or praying with the community or spending some time at a religious house or a seminary or shadowing their parish priest or the sister running a ministry that they're attracted to see if it fits. Because we can always use the help.
That's right.
And to help the person, even if they don't end up joining our community. It's like, you know, vocation directors are supposed to help young people discern their vocation, whether it be to religious life, to priesthood, to the married life, because, as you said off camera, we're not in competition.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's the Lord who's doing the calling, and it's up to us to figure out, okay, where does this person belong?
First of all, thank you both very much. I can't thank you enough. You've really, I think, helped us to reflect well about the mystery and the joys of God's calling to the religious life or the priesthood or the married life, whatever it may be. And I want to thank you very, very much. And I think that what you're saying is also brings us back to where we started, I guess, and that's prayer. So if you do think you have a vocation, as you can see, no one's going to strong arm you. It's not a hard sell or anything like that, because as Father just said, it's Christ's call. It's not, I can't give it to you, your parents can't give it to you, your best friend can't give it to you. It comes from God Himself, from Jesus Christ Himself. So this call, this vocation, therefore, is something we discern, obviously, in prayer. Do go, as we've just heard so beautifully, go contact our vocation director in the diocese is Deacon Ricardo Arias. Go to your parish priest, go to one of the sisters in your neighborhood, in your parish, and just say, I'm thinking of this, and there's going to be no, as I say, signing on the bottom line or anything. It's going to be a very open process. As a matter of fact, even if you wanted to become a priest or sister tomorrow, we can't do it in 24 hours. It's going to take time and discernment, and it's going to unfold in God's good time. But if you are thinking about it, please do, as we've heard so beautifully, do take that first step. Give us a call, give your parish priest a call, give a sister whom you know a call, and give Deacon Ricardo a call, and we'll see. The Lord will be the one doing the calling, and we'll work with you in that. So thanks again for listening. Again, thank you both. Thank you, sister, and thank you, Father. I appreciate it, and may God bless you.